is Arna Skipwith. I am the archivist here at the Scots School, Albury. We've invited David Easton to share his experiences of his time as a member of the class of '66 while being educated at the Albury Grammar School. Okay, David, can you tell us when you attended Albury Grammar School and what year levels were you in?
I came in '61. I remained here until the end of '66 when I successfully completed my leaving certificate.
Fantastic. And what are your first memories of when you very first arrived at Albury Grammar School?
Being in the headmaster's office. Alex Sellers, he would sit down in the office, every boy that came to the school with at least one parent.
Right.
And would interview before you actually started your you'd already been admitted to the school, but I think it was to let you know who was who and who was running the show and where you fitted in.
And so how did you feel that day?
My father knew Alex. Okay. They had a connection back to Queensland, actually.
Really? Goodness me. David, what was the school like in those days compared to now?
Spartan.
Yes.
Spartan. We had no cooling.
Right.
Oh, windows, open up. And heating was those old gas heaters, and they had to be turned off at 11 o'clock recess.
Oh.
Didn't matter if the fog was still hanging around thicker than the school custom, but yeah, it was Spartan compared to today. Yeah.
I bet. Today must seem luxurious in comparison. And so you travelled to school each day by bicycle?
Bicycle,
or
yeah.
Maybe by car. And what happened in the morning when students first arrived each day?
Oh, you put the bike away in the bike shed, and then assembly was first cab off the rank, and then classes. Finally, a typical week during winter would be football training after school. Wednesday was an inter-school match. Thursday was cadets. The cadets was compulsory till it was, national service.
Yes, yes.
And quite often you'd be back here on a Saturday morning to play inter-house football. Alex Sellers had this attitude that a healthy body had a healthy mind, and that's why, irrespective of how good you were or weren't, you had to participate in those extracurricular activities.
What did students do at lunchtime and recess?
Well, depending on what time of the year it was. Recess was always out here on the oval, kicking a football or rough and tumble. Lunchtime, of course, you'll go over. I took lunch in the table in the dining hall. But yeah, I dined with the boarders, then we'd come out and play on the football, or sort of recall break-up fights.
And what was on offer for lunch and recess and that sort of thing in the dining hall?
Pretty basic. It was usually typical meat and 3 veggies with a sweet. And I always remember the rat's tails, we called it. It was minced meat. It was supposed to be savoury mince, but it wasn't all that savoury. We didn't get toast, we got bread and butter. So bread and butter, put the rats on top of that, and then tip your honey on it, because that's the only way you can eat it.
Bless you. Oh dear, that sounds a bit rough, David.
And, used to, at lunchtime, we'd get steam pudding in the winter months.
Right.
We used to get it moulded up into a ball.
Right.
And it took about 3 or 4 whacks with a cricket bat before it actually broke apart. I don't know how we digested it, but we did.
Can you tell me what the classrooms and lessons were like in the 1960s?
Well, the main building was here, but I started off in the juniors, what we referred to as the junior school, and that was a factory, and I reckon that best sums it up. Coming over here was like,
Right.
lot more building, more modern, because the building originally was built in the post-war, I think it was the late 40s, early 50s. We had individual desks, they're pretty basic, flip tops, little rostrum up the front where the teachers would, and the table, they'd have their reference books and that type of thing, of course, where everything was written in those days. No iPads or that. The teachers had to be teachers because there was no substitute. No iPads, no electronic devices. The only thing we had was Frank Betts used to take us into the assembly hall. He was our geography teacher, and he had an old slide projector and used to transmit that up onto the wall.
So David, can you tell me about your memories of this building?
Right, it was the gymnasium. There were 2 dormitories, kitchen and dining area, and some teaching areas as well. They were more to the front of there, and upstairs there was the ablution block, showers, change rooms, etc. for the boarders and for day boys who need to change into gymnastic gear or sporting gear.
Right. And how many years were you here before you moved on to the senior school?
Only the 1 year. This was basically primary school and the first year of secondary school. When you went into second year, you went over to what we used to call a big school. For the senior school, yeah.
Yes, you graduated and moved on to the next one. Were there any teachers who made a lasting impression on you, and why would that have been?
Murray Free. In my final year, I did 6 subjects. Murray taught me for 4 of them. So I only had 3 teachers in my final year. Murray also coached the second reserve grade football, which I was a member of, and he also taught me how to swim when I was an infant.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Goodness me, that's quite a connection. Which subjects did you most enjoy when you were at school?
Well, I think pretty much all of them. The final year I did Maths 1 and 2, Physics and Chemistry, English and Modern History. Our history teacher was an interesting chap. He's an American. He was a war correspondent. Really? Mr. Hudson. We used to call him Rocky. He used to rewrite all his notes every year. Bruce Smith was another legend here. Bruce was a housemaster and that, and he was a very generous man, Bruce. At the end of the year, he lived in the school. He had a room, master's room. He never married. And every year he was always immaculately dressed. We used to call him Rags. Because if his attire was always immaculately attired, he liked to buy clothing and apparel, and then every year he'd have a clean out, and then seniors would say, "Oh, this looks like it'll fit you." So he was still in boxes.
That is so generous.
And they told me when he died, they cleaned out his where he lived. He just multitude of clothes. A lot of it was still in packaging.
Goodness me. That's incredible.
Bruce was also a very talented musician.
Right.
Played the clarinet and that. I remember the school fete, and we had a bit of a dance over there in the old school building up there that's next to Wilson House and opposite. That used to be the music room in there.
Right.
We had a bit of a band going there, and Bruce had turned up because he lived on the grounds, and I think he'd had a reasonably good session down at the Soldiers Club. He turned up with his licorice stick and joined in the musical presentation.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, what a fantastic memory. When you had the school dance, did that also involve the Woodstock girls, or was that just the boys?
Yes, it did.
Were the dances, were they formal affairs or were they casual?
No, they were relatively formal. You had to wear the suit, the school suit, yes. Well, actually, you weren't allowed to have odds. If you were a boarder, you weren't allowed to have odds in your dormitory or anything, and odds were what one might refer to as civilian clothes.
Yes.
And if you got caught with them, and you probably get whacked.
Would you? That's punishable.
Yes.
That's very strict. Did you wear anything different when you went to church or chapel, or did you wear your best?
Once again, church parade, you had to wear the suit. Yep. You were outside the school, you had to wear the suit. The only boys that didn't have to wear the suit outside the school were day boys. We had a sports coat that we wore as part of our winter uniform. The sports jacket, you didn't have to have it, but it was worn when you were attending a sporting. So if we were playing football, school playing football down at all the troops would go down, they would wear their sports blazer rather than their sports jacket.
Right.
I never had a sports blazer.
Yeah. Can you tell me what sports or extracurricular activities were popular at the time?
Oh, football, of course, in the winter months, and cricket. Athletics. School was pretty good at that. We did have a competition between the schools called the Farrer Cup. I think we were pretty successful. And that was an aggregate of athletics, football, swimming, cricket. And there was also a similar award for cadets that Cadet Gymkhana used to win. That was an aggregate score across the guard, the drill platoon and the band.
Right.
That is a picture of the guard. This was in 1965 by my estimate, because that cadet under officer there is Ron Waterson, also known as Raider Ron. There's Peter Sloane there, I'm pretty sure. And that area there, off to the right there, is where the new science wing is.
Oh, goodness.
And where that science wing is now, that's where we used to have speech night.
Right. Really?
Outdoors, middle of summer, end of the year.
Right. Was there a strong sense of school spirit and rivalry in those days?
You betcha. There certainly was, especially on the sporting field. And we used to be known as the Glamour Boys.
Really? Goodness me. And where did that come from?
From the other lads around the town, yes.
Goodness.
A bit of competition for the young ladies, of course. And, you know, being the borders and that. And over in the corner over there used to be what we called the monkey cage, where a lot of the juniors used to sit there and talk to their little girlfriends through the fence because you weren't allowed on the other side. You know, you would let official leave was Saturday morning, church, and then big lurk for the borders was to get a good day boy mate because you get out for the whole weekend.
Right.
But if you broke bounds, you were in strife.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that the school was sort of a de facto parent and they had the responsibilities. So.
Was there much rebellion like that, or did everybody tend to toe the line?
Tended to toe the line because the consequences were painful.
Yeah.
The corporal punishment was,
Was there one funny or mischievous moment in particular from your school days that you...
Funny? Oh, yeah, I could think of one going back to Frank Betts. His nickname was Gutty because he rotund type of fellow. He had the master's table there with the reference that he butted with his tummy. So as I said, we had that little elevated areas up the front of the classroom, in front of the blackboard, and we thought, oh yeah, so we got the table and put it so the front legs were just sitting on it, and Frank comes in, plonks everything down, starts talking, and he go, but, couple of butts, it went over. Needless to say, uproar ensued.
Yes. And were there any characters amongst the students or staff who everybody knew or stood out to you?
Oh, yeah, I can think of fellows, but you know, there was always someone around. You know, we had a thing called bugging. These days it'd be called harassment. My nickname was Teaspoon because I was the smallest bloke in the class. And the school captain, a bloke called Dick Kerridge, Richard, his nickname was Gob, and he's given me a bit of a run for the money one day. He was, bugging.
Yes.
So I sat back and copped it, and I turned around and said, well, Dick, I said, that was very eloquently put together. I said, but then with a gob your size, one could expect nothing else. And he did not. Ray Gilby said, he gotcha.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. Yeah, we can be quite cruel, as kids can be.
And is there a story that perfectly captures what school life was like back then?
Oh, I'd say mateship. School spirit was strong.
What message would you like to share with current students as we celebrate 160 years?
Maintain the rage. Apply yourselves. Give serious consideration to what you're going to do post-school, particularly in regards to tertiary education. Consider trades, manual trades, don't you? But yeah, give serious consideration to what you're going to do in your post-secondary further education or skills acquisition. Yeah.
David, thank you so much for coming to school today and sharing your stories with us as we celebrate our 160th.
My
it's very
pleasure.
special to have you here.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's really great.
Right.